Hi, welcome to Ask Ellen. Real questions, real talk, real change. I'm Ellen, and today we're diving into a topic that so many women struggle with, especially this time of year. How do I set boundaries this holiday season? This can be a tricky one because let's be honest, even though the holidays bring lots of joy, they also bring a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations, and it can be really difficult for some people. So let's talk about how to protect your peace without feeling guilty. The holidays tend to magnify everything. Your relationships, your unresolved emotions, your sense of obligation, and even your exhaustion. Women especially are conditioned to hold it all together. The cooking, the hosting, the gifts, smoothing over some of the family tensions, it can be a lot. And if you're someone who wants everyone to just get along, that's even harder. You're probably carrying too much, and maybe you're even carrying this silently. You don't want to ruffle any feathers. You don't want to bother anybody. But secretly, you really wish that you could set the boundaries. Well, let's do it. Most people know what they want to say no to. You do, right? But the thing is, it's hard because you don't want to disappoint anyone. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and you definitely don't want to have guilt. The holidays make it worse because the expectations are higher. It's family. It's tradition. It's only once a year. But here's the truth. A boundary is not a rejection. A boundary is an act of protection of your energy, of your peace, and also of your emotional well-being. Setting a boundary doesn't mean you don't care. It just means that you want to stop ignoring yourself. It means you're done ignoring your own peace in order to make other people happy. So before you say yes to any obligation this holiday season, you'll want to ask yourself these 3 questions. 1, does this feel aligned with my capacity? What do I mean by that? Do you actually have the space for this? Emotionally, the energy that it will take, the time? The second question, am I saying yes out of desire or out of guilt? And if you're saying yes out of guilt, you might want to rethink. 3, am I willing to deal with the consequences if I say yes? The time, the money, the stress, whatever it is that might make you say no, are you willing to move forward? Be honest with yourself with these answers. After you ask yourself these 3 questions, how do you feel? How does it make you feel? Do you feel now that it's a burden, or are you excited to do it? If it's feeling like a burden, you might want to have to set some boundaries. Let's get into the practical side, because boundaries during the holidays don't have to be dramatic or confrontational. In fact, they shouldn't. Most of them are pretty simple. Boundary number 1, limiting your time somewhere. Okay, so you've been invited to a party and it goes from 4 o'clock until midnight. You don't want to say no because you don't want to have the confrontation. But instead, you can say yes, but let them know that you can only be there for a couple of hours. Thank you, but I'll only be able to be there from 5 to 7. Or thanks, but I'll have to leave by 7. Whatever that time frame is for you, just set that boundary. It's okay. Boundary number 2, I'm not hosting this year. can be a tricky one because a lot of people don't want to do it themselves. Well, if they don't want to do it, why do you have to do it? You can just say, you know what? This year I just can't host. It's a lot of work and I just don't have the capacity. They should understand. They should realize that, yeah, you've been doing it all along. And they should be willing to offer some help. Boundary number 3, skipping certain events. Sometimes you just don't want to go to something. People think it's a great idea. They've invited you and you're just not into it. The best way to approach this, or the best way to answer this, is just to say, hey, thanks for the invite, but I just can't make it this year. You didn't say no. You didn't say, why are you asking me? You politely said no. And you politely said, I just can't make it this year. That's all you can do. Number 4, saying no to emotional caretaking. This one can be a little tricky, especially during the holidays, because you have a lot of people around you and everybody has their opinions and everybody wants to make sure everybody knows what they are thinking, what their opinions are, how they feel about things. But let's face it, that can be exhausting. So sometimes you just have to say, hey, I'd really like to enjoy this day. Let's not talk about that today. If the person or people that you're talking to can't appreciate the boundary that you just put out there, just walk to another room. Go to the bathroom. Just do something to disengage. And usually by the time you get back, it's all past. Boundary number 5, protecting your rest. This can be a tricky one too, because sometimes you don't want to admit that you just need more rest. It's okay, especially during the holiday season. We're running around, we're buying gifts, we're meeting and greeting with people, and sometimes you just need a day off. Maybe you tell somebody, hey, we can do that, but can we make it later in the day so I can sleep in? It's a simple request, but it's a way of protecting yourself, and it's a way of setting a boundary that doesn't feel harsh. All of these boundaries are meant to be a form of protection for you. They're honest, they're gentle, and they're caring. And when you are true to yourself with the boundaries that you need, the people around you will then appreciate that you've been honest with them. A boundary is 10% what you say and 90% of how steady you are when you say it. Number 1, keep it short. You don't have to justify your boundary. You don't have to give a long explanation of why you've decided to have this boundary, and you don't have to over-apologize. Number 2, keep it kind. Use a warm tone, a calm voice, soft wording. If you really think you're going to hurt someone's feelings, tell them, I'm sorry, but I know this might hurt your feelings, but thank you for understanding. These are nice ways to keep it kind. But remember, there's no screaming, there's no yelling. Just use a calm, gentle voice. Number 3, keep it steady. You want to have a steady tone when you're talking to somebody and letting them know that you're setting a boundary. If you start saying, anything like that, you're not steady enough and they won't think that you're serious. You want to make sure that what you're saying comes off as, this is what's happening. because this is what I need. As long as you are steady with what you're saying and you have that commitment inside, they'll understand exactly why you're saying what you are. Even though you're setting these boundaries, you have to realize you're not asking for permission. You're letting them know with clarity what you need. What you need for your protection, what you need for your energy, and what you need from them. You're probably thinking at this point, oh yeah, sure, Ellen, you say we can just say these things, but if I said that to my mother, she'd yell at me, she would go crazy, my uncle would be so mad at me. Because truth of it all, that's the hardest part, is what you have in your head as what their reaction will be. But here's the truth. Not everyone is going to like your boundary. And that's okay. The boundary isn't set for the other person. The boundary is set for you. It's important for you, and that's all that matters. But people don't have to like your boundary to make it valid. It's valid to you, and as long as you understand that, it doesn't really matter what their reaction is. Sometimes their reaction is just them getting used to the new you that's standing up for yourself and setting these boundaries. If you are getting some pushback, and believe me, you probably will, that's just how it goes. Here are some ways to respond to the pushback. I hear you, but this is something that I need to do this year. I understand that you're disappointed. My decision is still the same. I love you, and I'm not changing my plan. Stay warm, stay steady. They will adjust. Years ago, when my son was young, I had to set a boundary with my sister. It was tough for me to do, but I still had to do it. And I still had to commit to that decision. We would always go to her house on Christmas morning. I would have to drag my son out of the house after he had opened all these gifts because we had to go have dinner at my sister's house. My son really didn't understand that. I mean, I guess on some level he did, but he wanted to stay home, play with his games, play with his toys. My sister's sons were a lot older than my son. They wanted to play different games. And well, it made my son kind of sad. And I didn't think that that's what Christmas was all about. So after we spent that particular year with them for Christmas, the next day I talked with my sister. I said, hey, I've made a decision and I need you to understand that it's happening. And of course, at first she said, yeah, sure, what? And I said, next year, we're not coming for Christmas. She didn't believe me, of course, and she said, oh, by next year, you'll forget all about this. And I said, no, I won't. Just not doing this anymore. I love you, but I want to stay home with my son. Throughout the year, I would say to her, hey, don't forget, this year at Christmas time, I'm not stopping by. And again, she'd say, you'll change your mind. And I reminded her about 4 more times during the year. Come Christmas Day, I stayed home. My son and I woke up on our time. We had new traditions that we made together, and they were great. My sister understood. Although she didn't necessarily agree with it, she understood. And because I gave her plenty of warning, she was able to deal with it. I'm not suggesting that you take a year to prepare people for what you want. But maybe, if that's what you have to do, that's what you can do. The holidays are not a measure of your worth. They're not a performance that you have to deal with. Holidays are supposed to be fun, and you're allowed to enjoy them the way that you want to enjoy them. You're allowed to make the season simpler. You're allowed to actually prioritize rest. And you're allowed to be able to keep the peace without adding pressure. And here's the most important part. You're allowed to protect your peace, even if it is from people that you love. If this gave you clarity or permission or even a moment of truth, then you are exactly who this channel is made for. We're going to talk about boundaries, self-worth, emotional patterns, reinvention, people-pleasing, and honesty. The things that women don't always talk about. If you want more real talk each week, please consider subscribing. If you have a question or a boundary situation that you'd like to talk about, please add it in the comments. I'll be sure to make a video about what you're looking for. Thanks again for being here. This is Ask Ellen. Real questions, real talk, real change. I'll see you in the next one.